What's up, everyone? Welcome to Call to the Bullpen. I'm David Payne, joined with Brad Zempar and Jimmy Miller. Let's play ball. All right, so obviously some big news this week in MLB with the Shohei Otani stuff going on, but I think we should hold off on that for another episode until we get some more facts because we don't want to speculate. But I do want to speculate about some predictions and some standings and some World Series winners and all fun stuff like that. So let's kick this thing off right away with some division winner predictions. And I'll kick this thing off with the AL East. And I just want to be fully transparent before we start here. I'm going to be more partisan than the United States Congress here. My bias is going to fully show. I mean, you know where I'm starting with this. It's on my head. You know where I'm going. We won it last year. We're coming for it again. I've got the O's winning the AL East. I think that we went out, we added an ace. Hopefully, Kyle Bradish comes back soon and we could have some dual aces at the front of the rotation. Hopefully, Grayson Rodriguez pitches like he did down the stretch last year after getting called back up, and we can have triple aces. Hopefully, John Means comes back strong. We could have quadruple aces in the rotation, and then Cole Irvin or some slapdick in the fifth spot there. But I think that we've got a nice little path there. It's going to be a tough division, but I think a good path to the top of the AL East. But I'll throw it over to Jim.
Yeah, I went with the Orioles as well. I mean, especially with Cole going down, I think that really opens up the window for the Orioles to win that division. Burns hasn't been too sharp in spring training, but as you know, spring training is with a new team. Ultimately, I do like the Orioles. I mean, they're only going to get better. They're only going to get younger. So I went with the Orioles.
Yeah, it's on my head too. They're going back to back. They're going to win the division again. I feel like it's going to be very hard for somebody to overthrow them. Obviously, they're going to be missing Bautista at the back end of that bullpen, but the talent on that team is just way too much for, I think, any other team to compete with them for 162.
Yeah, so we're all in agreement there. O's taking the AL East, even though it's a gauntlet of a division and really could be any team but the Red Sox could really realistically win it. But I see Adam's not happy about that. But that's the way that we all see this falling here. Over to the Central is one that's really a toss up, and none of them deserve to win the division. They all suck. They're all terrible. None of them are making it past the first round of the playoffs if they do make it. But someone's got to win the division. And I don't know, the Guardians, just because they've have got a bona fide ace on the roster. We'll see if he makes it through the whole year with the team. But they have a little bit of playoff experience under their belts. I would have said the Twins if they were able to bring back some of their pieces, but they let every key piece that they had go. The Royals suck. The White Sox are maybe worse than the A's. That's going to be a fun little race to the bottom of the American League there. This is just a garbage division, and garbage and Guardians both start with G, so it's Guardians for me.
Yeah, I went with the Twins. Like you said, I don't think any team wins more than like 92 games. I think it'll be a race to 90, a race to who's kind of the most mid. I went with the Twins. The Guardians, they should be right up there with them, but like you were saying, neither one of these teams are going to make it past the first round of the playoffs. They'll be lucky to even get in.
Yeah, so I went with the Tigers. I think they have the highest upside of anybody in that division. Tariq Skubal looks like he's establishing himself as a legitimate ace. Then you got Casey Mize, who's coming back from Tommy John. He should be something interesting. They bring in Kente Maeda. They bring in Jack Flaherty. They got three young hitters who's going to hold it down for them: Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Cole Keith. I feel like they have a really good core going, and with the way that division is set up, it's going to be anybody, and I'm going to take the young guys there.
And take Javi Baez with a -2 WAR leading the charge.
At least he gives you going for defense. It's something at least.
It's something. Okay. The West, I'm not going to take the defending champs to win it. I'm going to go with the rock steady team I can count on every year to be gross. I made a great move bringing in Josh Hader for the back end of the bullpen. I'm taking the Houston Astros to win the division. They're there every year. They're kind of like the Rays. They're always at least at the top of it. So I'm going to go with the Astros there. I just don't think that I don't think that window has closed yet, especially with that big acquisition there. So I'm going with the Astros.
I did go with the defending champs and the Rangers. I like the young guys coming up. They just called it Blankford. I also like Evan Carter a lot too. I think that they have the youth. The starting pitching is going to be a question, but I think their bullpen is pretty strong. I think there's going to be a lot of hype surrounding them, obviously being the defending world champions, but I think they have the young guys that can really bounce back and bring even more excitement to that city.
Yeah, I don't know how you can pick against the Astros. It's just their division. It's been their division for a long time, and until somebody can prove that they can take the division for 162, yeah, the Rangers won the World Series last year, but they got into the playoffs. They choked the division down the stretch. I'm just gonna ride with the Astros until they give me a reason to not.
And I'm not really sure that the Rangers did too much to improve. That's the thing. They lost the division last year. They might have went and won the World Series, but I don't think that they really made a huge move to improve the team in any significant way, which I guess you could say, they were good enough to win the World Series last year, but other teams have gone out and made moves there. So just to recap, I had the Orioles, Guardians, Astros. Jim, run through yours again.
I had the Orioles, Twins, Rangers.
Brad.
Orioles, Tigers, Astros.
Yeah. So now we'll hop over to the wild card teams. 3 wild cards for each league. I'm going to take one team out of the AL East here. I'm going to take the Yankees to make it. Even though Cole's down early, the lineup is a juggernaut with Soto there and Judge there. It's a matter of keeping guys on the field, which has been their big issue the past couple of years. It seems like they always have the talent, but they can never keep guys on the field. And you already see the issue with Cole happening, which is why I don't have them winning the division. I think they're inevitably going to have some more go down, but they're in a win-it-all kind of year with going for Soto for the year, so maybe there's some kind of big deadline move to be made for them too. But I'll take the Yankees to make it this year. I'm going to take the Rangers to make it. I do think that they're a playoff team. They just won the World Series. I can't keep them entirely out of the playoffs, so I think the Rangers are going to make it. And I'm a complete toss-up between the Rays and Mariners for this last spot, but I'm going to go with the Rays just because I hate the Mariners. So I'm going to take the Rays. I say the Rays always find a way to win 90-something games. So you could say whatever you want about they traded Glass now, they don't have a Wander Franco anymore, this and that. They've got a AAA team full of 2-3 WAR players ready to come up and make some noise. So I'm going to take the Rays to make it. So that's Yankees, Rangers, Rays for me.
For the AL, I went with the Yankees. Like you said, I mean, even though Cole's down, I do still think that they have a great offense, arguably top 3 in the league. I also went with the Astros, obviously, like you were saying. The Rangers, they won the World Series last year, so you had to put them in. I kind of look at the Astros the same way. They're still going to be a nice team with veteran leadership. So they're my second team. And for my third team, I went with the Mariners. I do like their starting pitching a lot. I think the offense is good enough. And the back end of that bullpen is pretty good too. So my teams are Yankees, Astros, Mariners.
Yeah, so my one is the Yankees. Obviously, I feel like there's like 6 or 7 teams really if you exclude the AL Central winner. That's going to be just a buy-in for some random reason because they have to win the division. But I have the Yankees, I have the Blue Jays, and then I have the Rangers. The Blue Jays, which is one that you guys didn't have, I feel like they're just something has to click for them this year. This is kind of their last year for a window to do something because they're going to have to pay Bo or Vlad. I don't think they're going to pay them both. They were in on Shohei. They were in on Yamamoto. They were in on all these big guys. So that kind of led me to believe that they're not going to pay either Bo or Vlad. It's going to be one or the other. And their pitching staff is just disgusting. So, I mean, something has to give there. And I specifically left out the Mariners because I am their biggest hater. We'll never say that they're going to make the playoffs. I'm good on the Mariners.
That's how I feel about the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays and Mariners, they just suck. There's no way around it. They just suck. They're always hyped up every year. This is our year, and then they've become the Dallas Cowboys of the MLB. Both of those teams. But we'll hop over to the NL now, starting in the NL East, and it's hard for me to go anywhere but the Atlanta Braves here. I think that the Braves are just rock solid, top to bottom, and I think that there's other good teams in that division, and I'll touch on at least one of those in a minute here. But it's tough to go anywhere but the Braves.
Yeah, I went Braves as well. Obviously, being a Mets fan, it's difficult seeing them year in and year out just be as dominant as they are. I'd argue the best team in the league. So I went the Braves there because, I mean, the starting pitching is terrific. I think Strider does have a bounce back here. His ERA was kind of high last year, but I think he really does settle in this year. And obviously the offense, they've signed these guys to these cheap long-term deals, so they're going to be really good for years to come. So I went with the Braves.
Yeah, you can't pick anybody else other than the Braves for this division. It's just 1 through 26. Their entire roster is just full of guys who are going to get it done for them, and I don't know if there's a team that's going to win more games than them this year. So I'm going to take the Braves too.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking that same team from last year. You're expecting Strider to have a better year, and you've added former best pitcher in baseball, Cy Young winner Chris Sale too. So if you can keep him healthy, that's a huge weapon in the rotation too. So it's really hard to go anywhere else there. Now, a division where could go anyway, really, a handful of teams would be the Central, and I'm going to go. I went with the Cubs last year, and it was actually a pretty good pick until a dropped fly ball cost them the division. But I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers this year. I think that you get Rhys Hoskins, get some power in there. Our boy Joey Ortiz looks like he's going to make the roster. DL Hall is going to make the rotation. I think that they're pretty solid, as solid as a Central team. Like, I don't know, it's both Centrals in both leagues are just not good. And I think it's going to come down to the Cubs and the Brewers. But I'm going to take the Brewers there just because I took the Cubs the last 2 years and they let me down. So I can't go a third time. Fool me one time, fool me twice. It can't fool me again. So
I went with the Cubs. Like you said, you did bet on them last year to win that division, but I do like the moves they made, re-signing Cody Bellinger, getting Imanaga from Japan. I think he's going to be a good piece there. Ultimately, it's kind of like the AL Central, where I don't see any team in that division winning more than like 92 games. I think the Cubs do have the best roster makeup, so I do like the Cubs to win that division.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Cubs. I feel like they're the most complete roster in that division right now. You've got Justin Steele, who's coming off of a Cy Young caliber season, gets the hedge front of your rotation. The lineup is young. They've got plenty of young guys in the wings. Pete Crow Armstrong's going to come up and probably win a. No, I wouldn't say win, but he'll probably finish in the top 5 Cy Young, or not Cy Young, Rookie of the Year voting. So they've got some pieces, and I feel like they're going to be the team there at the end of the year.
And over to the West, and it's hard to go anywhere again but the Dodgers here. They've just run the division year in and year out, and that might not equate to much playoff success for them. But you just added Shohei Ohtani. You've got Mookie Betts. You've got Freddie Freeman. You've got MVP after MVP after MVP in that lineup there. So it's hard to go anywhere but the Dodgers. So it's the Dodgers for me over the defending NL champs.
Yeah, I went with the Dodgers as well. I don't think it's as much of a slam dunk as the Braves in the NL East, but I did go with the Dodgers. I do think Yamamoto figures it out. He's got some great off speed. Ultimately, the Dodgers, like you were saying, they have the MVPs in that lineup. They have a good bullpen. I think a lot's going to hinge on if the rotation can be good because they're kind of betting on some guys to bounce back and be good. So I did go with the Dodgers. Ultimately, I mean, they might coast for basically the whole year, but when it really matters towards the end of the year, the last month, they do seem to pull through and win that division.
Yeah, it's just going to keep it short. It's exactly what you guys said. There's no reason to bet against them. They have the best overall roster in baseball. It's going to be the Dodgers.
And now for the NL wildcard side of things, I mentioned another NL East team. I've got the Phillies for sure. I've got the Cubs. I didn't take them for the division, but I'm going to take the Cubs for a wild card spot. And then I'm going to take the Giants. I like what the Giants did. You've got a Robbie Ray. You've got a Blake Snell. You've got a Jung Ho Lee. I like what they're doing over there. I don't know. I'm just on the Giants train this year. So I've got Phillies, Cubs, Giants.
I went with the Phillies. Like you said, I mean, they're the second best team in that East Division. I went with the Diamondbacks. I think they're going to be very good again. I mean, they have the young pitching. And then I did go with the Giants as well. I think that they made that move. That Snell move kind of pushes them over the hump. I think the Padres are going to fall off a little bit. I like bringing in the veteran leadership of Melvin as a manager there. So my teams are Phillies, D-backs, and Giants.
First one is going to be the Phillies. Obviously, if the Braves weren't in their division, I'd have a strong possibility of them to win the division. But I'm also going to take the Diamondbacks, and then I'm going to take the Padres. One thing with the Padres is I think they were too star-studded for themselves for the last couple of years with Soto. And now I think that they've kind of gone towards, after trading Soto, they kind of transitioned more towards building the roster a little bit, not just throwing it into the big guys. Obviously, you're going to have the big guys like Bogarts there now, but I feel like they did a good job of supplementing the bullpen. Their outfield is definitely going to be questionable, but I like Jackson Merrill a lot. I feel like he's going to be really good this year. So I'm going to have the Padres sneaking in as the other wild card team.
It seems wild to me that you could lose the Cy Young winner and trade Juan Soto and get better. But hey, we'll test this down a 162 game stretch here. And yeah, I did leave the Diamondbacks off. I was the one person that left the D-backs off. I don't think they're good. I don't think they were that good last year. I don't think they belonged there last year. And I thought, well, Erod moves the needle to make them better. No. So
he's hurt now too.
Yeah, I'm not on the D-backs train. I didn't think that they belonged there last year, and I don't think that they belong here this year either. I think that it's them and the Padres are a toss-up for the third best team in that division. But let's get into some awards now. So we'll start MVP, then Cy Young, then Rookie of the Year, and we'll go AL first, then NL. And this is, like I said, I'm going to be pretty partisan here, but I feel like I could back all these up. So on the MVP side of things, give me Gunnar Henderson for the MVP. The kid's a stud. Ohtani's out of the league now, so it completely opens it up. I mean, I think the MVP is coming out of the East Division, whether it's Judge, whether it's Soto, whether it's Henderson, whether it's Rutschman. I think those are your four that you're really looking at for the MVP there. So I'm taking Gunnar. I love the betting line on Gunnar. And I think that this is a guy who put up 6 WAR last year in his rookie year at shortstop. And then on the NL side of things, I'm going to take Mookie Betts. I think that, Ohtani's not pitching. So again, completely open. Any year that Ohtani's pitching and hitting, you can pretty much give the award to him, unless somebody goes out there and steals 80 bases. But I've got Mookie Betts. He's playing shortstop this year too, so a little more value provided than playing right field, but he's also going to hop around to a bunch of different positions. So if anyone is just at face value, if you want to take the award for what it means, most valuable, the guy who's going to play all 9 positions on the field for you is the most valuable guy. So give me Gunnar, give me Mookie, lock it in.
Yeah, no real surprises on my side. I went with Juan Soto of the Yankees. I think this is a real prove-it year for him. I mean, he's been pretty good the past couple of years, but I think he needs that big breakout year like we saw early in his career with the Nats. I think he's going to have a great year. He's looked great already in spring. Obviously, he's going into his free agent year, so I think that he's going to have a big year. And I also went with Betts on the NL side. He's looked great so far in that series, and I think that, like you said, playing shortstop, it's going to add value. I'm interested to see how that impacts his WAR, because going from the outfield to the infield, I mean, he could by the end of the year be the best shortstop in the game after just his first year playing there. So I went with Soto and I went with Betts.
Yeah, so in the AL, I was deciding between Soto or Judge because I feel like it's really going to come down to one of them. Even if the Yankees don't win the division, I feel like they're going to put up probably the 2 best stats in the AL. And what kind of swayed me more to Judge was that Soto's going to be hitting in front of him. He's going to be on base more. So Judge is going to have way more opportunities to drive him in. So that's kind of why I swayed more towards Judge. So Judge is my pick in the AL. And then in the NL, I'm taking Fernando Tatis. I feel like for the
Nice.
last couple of years with his steroid stuff, he's kind of been off the limelight. And I kind of feel like it's what it was with Acuna, because Acuna was coming off of the ACL, didn't really play that great, and then he comes back, wins an MVP. So I'm gonna say that Tatis comes out of the gates this year and just rips the league up, and he's gonna win his first MVP.
Yeah, he's another case like Jim was just saying, where like Mookie could be the best shortstop by the end of the year. And I mean, defensively, Tatis was the best right fielder in his first year out there, and he didn't even have a full year to accumulate those offensive stats. And I've been on the train of Tatis is the most talented player in baseball, not named Ohtani. So I love that pick there. Now let's hop over to the Cy Young Awards. And once again, black and orange. I think with Garrett, especially with Garrett Cole down, I mean, you could say Garrett Cole repeat, but with him down for a little bit, give me Corbin Burns. Jimmy was saying that he was having a bit of a rough spring training, but I think that that's what your veteran guys do, is go out there and mess with stuff and get a feel for stuff and aren't always turning it up right away. And if you look at the line that Burns put out just yesterday, 5.1 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 4 Ks, no walks. So he's a veteran guy who knows how to turn it up when it's go time to head back north. So I think that we're going to see Corbin Burns come in and take an AL Cy Young this time around. And NL side, I've got an interesting pick for you here. I'm going with Logan Webb. I think he's got a ton of talent, and he's got 2 Cy Young winners around him in the rotation now. So he's got a little bit of pressure off of him. He's got Robbie Ray, who's won a Cy Young. He's got Blake Snell, who's won a Cy Young, to kind of mentor him. He is a younger guy still. So I think that with those guys around him and a bit of a better team over there, we're going to see a Logan Webb that's back to that Logan Webb of, he was good last year, but the Logan Webb of the 2 years before that. So I think we see that guy come back out again. So I got Corbin Burns and I've got Logan Webb, 2 black and orange guys.
So for my AL, I went with Luis Castillo and the Mariners. I think that he's going to have a great year. Like I said, I like the Mariners to get a wild card spot, so they're going to need him to be big. He's probably the ace in that rotation, given the veteran experience. So I think Castillo is going to be great this year. And on the NL side, you said Webb was your bold take. I went with Merrill Kelly of the D-backs. I think that he's a late bloomer. He's kind of like Charlie Morton 2.0. He had a great postseason. He's been great in spring so far for what that's worth. So I went with Merrill Kelly. I think he just gets better every year. He's got great stuff. He's pretty durable. So that's my pick on the NL side.
That is hot. Let me tell you, Merrill Kelly. Wow, that is hot. But in the AL, I went with Corbin Burns too. I feel like he's going to get a huge boost from playing in Baltimore as opposed to Milwaukee. That left field for him now is he's going to be able to challenge more guys, and they're not going to be able to beat him out there because it's a mile and a half just to the wall, and then you got to get it up another 30 feet. So I like his chances to win a Cy Young this year. And then in the NL, I went with Spencer Strider. The only thing that killed him last year was the home run ball, really. And that's what I said last year with Cole, and Cole did it, put the home runs down, and he was great. He won a Cy Young. And anytime you have a guy who's going to win close to 20 games and maybe strike out 300, I feel like he's got to be your favorite for the Cy Young.
Yeah, those are some pretty safe picks, I would say. Jimmy, Merrill Kelly is a wild one. That's a wild one. I like it though. I like it. You can't go simple with all the picks. You don't want to play it safe with everything.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of like my one bold pick. Just to say, I said Merrill Kelly would win if he does win.
And I'm going to complete my 3 horsemen of Charm City. And I'm going to take my rookie of the year. Jackson Holliday's making it to the big leagues at some point. He should be on the big league roster right now, but he's coming up at some point, and he's going to do just what he did in spring training and absolutely tear it up and win the rookie of the year in the American League. And I'm going with another giant for the rookie of the year. I'm going to take Jung-Hoo Lee to take the rookie of the year there. And I actually like this because he's you always see like a Yu Darvish come over when he's like 28 or something, and he's up against a bunch of 22-year-olds. And there's, Jung-Hoo Lee's 25. You see some guys break into the league at 25. Adley was 24 when he broke in. So I like a guy coming over from the Pacific at a reasonable age and taking a rookie of the year home. So I'm going to take Jung-Hoo Lee there. I think him and I think Logan Webb are going to be a big part of the Giants making the playoffs, like I said. So give me Jackson Holliday. Give me Jung-Hoo Lee.
Yeah, for my AL Rookie of the Year, a lot of people are talking about Langford, but I like Evan Carter. I mean, he proved what he could do in the postseason last year. He's been great this spring. I think that, like I said, all eyes are going to be on Langford. He's kind of going to be in the shadows, but I think he's going to really put it together this year and keep building on what he's been doing going back to last year. And for the NL Rookie of the Year, I went with another Giant, but a pitcher in Kyle Harrison. He's been great this spring. He was decent last year, but I really think that he puts it together this year. He's going to have Blake Snell, a nice veteran lefty, to kind of mentor him, and I think it's going to be great for him pitching in that ballpark. So I went with Evan Carter on the AL side and Kyle Harrison on the NL side.
So I had the same too as David. Jackson Holiday is. I feel like he's got to have the chalk right now, even though he's not starting the year in the major leagues. Consensus #1 prospect. The kid just rakes. Had a great spring. Imagine he's up by the middle of May at the absolute latest. And then in the NL, Jung-Ho Lee. I feel like a lot of people are comparing him to Yoshida when he came over, but Yoshida was more of a power guy too, and Jung-Ho Lee's never really been a power guy. He's probably going to be in the running for a Gold Glove in center field this year for them. He's an elite defender, so I feel like that's really going to play a lot into it when it comes down to the Rookie of the Year race.
Nice. So, in agreement there, Brad. We're always kind of on the same page, so I love it. Now let's wrap this thing up with our AL, NL champs, and then our World Series winner here. And I think we've each submitted a number of games that the World Series is going to go to. So, guys, you know where I'm going with this. The O's are making the World Series. I've got the O's, and I've got the Phillies coming out of the National League. I think it's time that things click for the Phillies. I've got the Phillies. I've got the Phillies winning it all. It hurts for me to say that, but I can't sit here and just hammer O's and have us win the World Series too. So I got to give something over to my boy Harper and the Phillies there, and I've got it happening, going all the way, going 7 games, and I mean, yeah, it pains me to say that I think we're going to lose the World Series, but I think Philly's going to have something to celebrate this year. I just hope it's not in 4 games. That's the thing. I don't know how many games it is. Adam texted me, he was like, how many games? I was like, I don't know how many games. I just hope it's not 4. I hope it's not a sweep. But no, I'll take Phillies over O's and all 7.
So I went with the Yankees on the AL side. I think if they can hang around and be good enough when Cole is out, I think they're going to have a good deadline, maybe go after another starting pitcher to pair with Cole. So I went with the Yankees there. I think their offense is incredible. And on the NL side, no surprises with the Braves. I think they're just too good. I don't think they're not going to really have a contest in that division in the East. And I don't think any wild card team can really put up a contest against them, except for maybe the Phillies. They seem to have some magic runs there. So, but ultimately, I'm going Braves over Yankees in 6. I think this is going to be a big year for the Braves, and they're going to really do well.
Same teams, David. Same amount of games. Different result. I've got the Orioles winning in 7 over the Phillies. I feel like they're going to bring in another pitcher behind Burns. I didn't hammer them all the way home like you did, so I'm going to hammer them home as winning it in 7.
I'll take it. Listen, I would much rather you can keep the awards, you can keep the division title. Give me the World Series, and that's all I care about. I don't care. You could take the naming rights to the stadium for all I care. Just give me the ring at the end of the year, and I'm happy with it. So I mean, we're almost completely on the same page there again. Adam, you want to hop in and give us a World Series winner? You got someone?
How's it going? So for my World Series, I was actually thinking about it when you guys texted me. And I'm going to have to – so the other day, I don't have the exact odds up here, but I placed Braves and Astros exact World Series matchup. And then I already have a future on the Astros to win. So Braves and Astros in, let's say, 6.
Nice.
And that will be my pick. I mean, how do you – like Jimmy's saying, how do you bet against the Braves at all? They're a juggernaut. I mean, look at their lineup. I think if Kelenic can put it together, he's been awful in spring training, but if he can put it together, I mean, that's, a free agent pickup, if you will, if he can be good. in the middle of the season. And then the Astros, they're just a well-oiled machine at this point. And I think adding Hader, their rotation's a little sus to me, but if they can put it together, Hunter Brown and all those other guys over there, Valdez, if they can put it together, then give me Braves Astros World Series and Astros in 6.
Nice. Love it. We got some diversity. We all have 4 different World Series winners, which I like. I don't know if that's happened before. I think we might have repeated it at least once, but nice. All right. Well, that's our predictions. We'll check back in on these at the end of October, and we'll see. We'll have to keep this episode and keep our predictions and see who was right and who was wrong. And I'm going to be right on all of them, and you guys are going to be wrong on any of the ones you didn't agree with me on, but we'll check back in just to verify that.
Been any worse than me picking the White Sox 2 years ago, so.
That's true. That is true. And I mean, somebody said the Rockies were going to be good at one point in one of these prediction episodes. So
I think that was me too.
We've had some pretty bad ones before. So I think we've all, besides Merrill Kelly, I think we've all got a chance to hit on these here.
That's it. I think I said Luis Garcia would win the Cy Young last year. He got hurt like the next day.
So I don't know. Well, something crazy is going to happen, and something that we said is going to be crazy wrong or crazy right. But we'll check back in on these in October. We'll be back with regularly scheduled regular season programming next week. And until then, we'll see y'all next week. Run the outro.